Hello, I am Chanji,
I am Jack.
I'm Angelo.
and this is our game Farkle. So Farkle starts off on this home screen right here. You're able to read the rules as you get started, and by clicking this tab right here. And once you're ready, you're able to click player one, which is me, is ready, and now Jack will click player two is ready on his side.
All right.
Um,
Player two ready? Yeah.
Now that Jack is ready, I'll click roll dice. The dice are rolled, and I can see the score table to see what points I got. Here I got two fives, I believe so. Yeah, just two fives. And that's gonna add to a score of 100. Now I have the option to roll again or end my turn. I'm gonna roll again. Here I got another two fives and a one. Now my score is 800 for this turn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna click end turn. Now this is gonna be updated right here, bring it over here, and player two is gonna be start playing, and that's gonna be shown by this highlighted green button right here. And now we can show Jack's side.
All right. On my side, to see what Chanji have, I need to click update screen. Give it a few seconds. Oh, I see Chanji got 800. Now it's my turn. I can't select on the dice yet. I have to roll first. I got 1, another 5. I could roll again to get a better score. I want another 1. Let me see if I can get another 1. I still want another 1. Wow, I'm very lucky. Let me see if I can get another 5. Nope. And I Farkle. I didn't get a scoring dice roll, so I lose all my points. And then it should become 0. Now it's Chanji's turn.
Now I have to click update screen. Once I click update screen, I see that Jack did not score anything, and I'm still at 800. And now I have to roll dice, and I can continue playing until I get to 10,000, or whoever gets to 10,000 first. And now Jack will explain his code.
All right, let's start with the properties. You have the channel, the write key, the read keys. This is keep track of is it the beginning of the game. This helps us to know which dice is selected, and this is for the dice values. This one's keep track of the two players' score. It'll be constantly updated throughout the game. And this keep track of who's the current player. Also be be updating. Then the roll score is the amount of score the player got in their turn. This will be added to the total score of the player. And don't worry about this. First row of round, that's keep track of whether it's the first row of round. And then this one keep track of whether the player got Farkle. These two keep track of if both players are ready. I've got additional functions here. This one essentially updates this text, how much score the player got, how much row score, not row score, and then we have function roll dice button push. This gets run when the player clicks the roll dice button. First check is at the beginning of the game. If is both player ready? If it's not, then does nothing. If both player is ready, then it will roll the dice that are not selected. Only the dice that are not selected will be rolled, a sound will be played, and random values will be given to those dice. And below we have the roll animations. We'll talk about later with Angelo. Skip down to calculate scores. This function calculates the amount of roll scored the current player have by counting each dice. It first counts how many ones there, how many fives there. Then it counts for how many threesomes, like 3 of 1, 3 of 2, 3 of 4, etc. Then returns the total score. Now we have update screen button push. This one gets called when the update screen button is clicked. It essentially lets the other player let the player knows what other player got on their turn. Once it's clicked, it gets the score. Gets who's the current player. Let's say it's player 2. Then it gets player 1 score, and then update that on the screen to let player 2 know what player 1 got. And it also updates who's the current player by changing the color from white to green. And then we have end turn button push. This is run when player clicks end turn. It first check if it's the beginning of the game. If it is, then it resets the game to resets the score. We have field 1 for player 1 score and field 2 for player 2 score. Since it's the beginning of the game, then it resets the game so the game can be played. Then it sets the beginning of the game to false. Now the game actually starts. It first gets the scores of both player, then add on to it the roll score, and write that back to ThinkSpeak to update what the current to update the score of the current player. So if the player currently has, let's say, 100 points, then it was able to roll a 500. That get adds to it. So now player has 600 points. 600 is written back to ThinkSpeak to the appropriate field, and then this one basically updates the local value, the local variable I show up in property sections. We actually have two. We have ThinkSpeak that keeps track of the player score, and then the property, a local variable to keep track of the player score. And then now it just basically resets everything. It sets roll score to 0, resets the dice, and then also check if anyone has won by getting a score greater than 10,000. It updates the screen. It update more screen, the background color. Uncheck all the dice. And then, yeah, basically a bunch of housekeeping stuff, resets everything so the player 2 can start playing. And finally, this was a headache, but we update all the fields so there's no NaN issues. Finally, we have a bunch of function here. We have dice 1 check value, dice 2, all the way to dice 6. They're all the same thing. Basically, it just, whenever all these checks are clicked, it let the script know that, oh, this dice is checked, so don't roll it, and also updates the property values up here. And if the player tried to check a dice without rolling first, this will be run telling the player, you must roll first. And all of them are the same, exactly the same. And here I have player 1 ready value and player 2 ready value. These are these two checks. The updates ThinkSpeak, field 3 and field 4 to show that player 1's ready and player 1's ready and player 2's ready. And then these are the buttons that show score table and game rules. And that's it for the code.
Okay, we're going back here to the roll dice button push function. And first, we start off with the first sound function here. We have an audio read function call, which takes the dice roll.m4a file that we have stored in our folder, and it reads it, and it assigns variables y and fs, which is the sample data and the sample rate. And the sound function right here just plays that sound. So every time the roll dice button is pushed, that sound is played, which is part of one of the sounds. Then we move on to here where we are updating the dice values and their images and the corresponding images. But first we have the animation where this goes through the indices of the dice and it changes the images 10 times for each of the dice. So it kind of, and it goes through them pretty fast. So it stimulates a dice roll. And after it goes through those 10 times, it settles on a static image in which the player can then just choose what values he wants to choose. And then moving on, this is continuing to update the dice to the correct images. And then here we go to the Farkle condition. So if it's checking for if the player Farkle or not. And if they do, this sound function is played again. It's similar to the one we saw earlier. This time it's the file is called error2, which is another sample we pulled and is in our file. And it just updates the sound and the value, and it changes the text to you Farkle, waits 3 seconds, and and then goes back to the default screen, and then the end turn button pushed will be called.